Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with Sarah Austin, who is a web entrepreneur, made herself a very big name in Web 2, CMO and co-founder of metaverse funding platform, Globe, and former CEO at Broad Listings. Everyone said hello, Daffy. That's my dog statue that everybody loves more than me. So had to get him in there. So currently, right now, I had perused your Twitter, and you had made a post about Hispanic Heritage Month. It started on Thursday, and at first glance, by looking at you, others might not be able to tell what your ancestry is. Can you tell us what exactly it is, and what does this month mean to you?
Sure, yeah. So my ancestry is Basque, and Basque is a part of the northern region of Spain. And my ancestral village is in the Basque country. It's called Orendayan, and it has the same pronunciation of the original spelling, which is Oren Dayan, two last names that were combined originally from the Kazakhstan Empire, which is now known as Ukraine. And they had migrated to the Basque country of northern Spain, right at the border of France. And that was in the 1600s. And they established a village. And so the village is still existing today and thriving, and a really great province that's super accessible, close to the wine country in the south of France, but still protected through the Pyrenees mountain ranges and still pretty close to San Sebastian in España. And so it's a great location for all tourists to quickly access. And one thing that I will say, I'm becoming like the ambassador of Orendayan, but they do have this program where you can go and stay there for a month totally for free. The community takes you in. They have, and I'll show a picture from my Facebook, but they have this development there. So here's a map of the town. So you can see it's really small. And there's this development there. So yeah, so here's the picture of the development, and you can stay in these condos. They're pretty nice,
You
totally
said for free?
free. They will feed you at this cafe. Um, you can totally stay there. It's kind of a very communal environment. And as you know, Spain's history has been pretty mixed between communism, socialism. But I think that that has, also created a little bit of a, you see this poster here, it says independencia. That
No.
means independence. And it's a bit of a situation there. The Basque have been a bit oppressed by the Spanish government as well, and they want their independence as their own country. But currently, they are Spaniards. So here's me with the mayor of Orendayan. Here's my family coat of arms. It's engraved in the family community center building that's at the heart. And here's me with the Orendayan flag. You can see the tree. That means is Oren, means tree in Hebrew. And at the top, they have the crown. So basically, the translation is Dayan in Hebrew means the spiritual leaders of the community. And yeah, Oren means tree. So you've got both of those represented there. So yeah, essentially to wrap it up, on the Ashkenazi side of Kazakhstan, where they originally came from, the Ashkenazis are Jews. So basically, it's a pretty well documented history, as seen in some of the libraries in San Sebastian, where my family actually made its way to the royal courts and are still a thriving family in Spain today. So yeah, I have some relatives out there, and also a lot have migrated to Mexico and have been there for over 100 years. And so I have a lot of cousins also in Mexico. And my family specifically, we are I'm second generation, but my family's first generation immigrants to the United States.
So after your family has been to Mexico, you said for over 100 years, would you consider yourself part Mexican as well? How long do you have to be
I do
somewhere?
have, yeah, I love Mexico City so much. I love visiting my family. And so I definitely associate as well with a Mexican heritage as well. So it's a mix between Spanish, very Hispanic, but I guess a little Latina in there too. I got that Latina fire. You don't know, you wouldn't see it, but it's there.
Our friend Wendy's in she's in Mexico as well. The I forget where, it's like Ciudad Juarez, or I don't know. It's one of the big major cities in there. She really enjoys it. That's really cool. Uh,
Yeah, I
so
love Mexico
speaking of
City. It's a
Wendy
great
and the
city.
VV fam and Omi, you have probably been tagged in dozens, hundreds, or maybe even thousands of posts about VV and Akomi. Do you have the app? And do you have any? Have you made any investments? Do you consider investment or just a hobby?
Yes, I have. So I have a collection of NFTs on Vivi. So the one that I think is the hidden gem that I don't think anyone will realize for maybe a few years is the Ron English Two Tom Sam. And this is by Ron English. He is a famous contemporary artist. And you've seen some contemporary art NFTs take off within just days after mint, and then months after seeing 1,000+ X returns on those investments. And one example of that would be Kai, the Chinese based heritage contemporary artist. But Ron English, he's an artist I like. I like his sculptures. And yeah, the Teuton Sam is pretty cool sculpture that I like as a fan of contemporary art. So I bought some of those and I'm kind of holding on to them, hoping that one day they will catch on and we'll see what happens. But other than that, I still have some other uncommon ones that might be at the current value slightly worth more, like the USS Enterprise D, huge Star Trek fan, so had to gobble that one up. And then maybe I have some uncommon Captain Americas, but I think that my most favorite one that is common that I think should be uncommon, but it's common, less rare, is the DeLorean time machine. And I just think that that one's really fun because I absolutely love Back to the Future and it's such a kickback. I also like the 3D element to it. I actually bought this one from my friend and I really want her to have it because she drives a DeLorean, but I
Amazing.
keep on trying to onboard her onto Vivi's app so I can send it to her. So I'm still holding this in my wallet, but this is for her specifically. So yeah, definitely have spent a lot of time talking with the Vivi community on Twitter,
Yeah.
and it's a fun community for sure.
I love it. And why you had said, you had mentioned in a tweet the other day, like, hey, I'm about to buy 3 NFTs from like random projects. I'm down below. I know you were already tagged in a bunch of stuff, probably with BB. So I mentioned Feesh. Have you heard of that project?
Maybe I should pull up that tweet to see what you wrote. I don't think I had seen it before, but I think I went to check it out. Let me pull that up so I can check out the art.
Yeah. The Feesh's project is run by a guy named Brock McBlockchain, who is very close to the Akomi team. He's got a bunch of Omi, and it basically you mint a Feesh. You can mint 2 Feesh for like $100, and that includes gas fees. And you get a tank where your Feesh can just swim. You can open a portal to your tank so other Feesh can come in and your Feesh can go elsewhere. You get a mech suit where you can fight other Feesh. And this month you get, I think, about 19 airdrops. Those airdrops, like, there's a lot of value in it. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Wow. Okay, I'm just seeing all the replies that you got from that recommendation. Okay, the fiches. No, so I'm actually checking out for the first time. Somehow I missed your reply.
Oh, you
So
probably get so many different
yeah.
replies each. Like, I imagine your Twitter just blows up. Almost 50,000 followers. It's probably insane.
No, but it's good to see it. So is this the art? Is this the Feeshes?
Yeah, I think that's the cover of the album.
Okay.
So they just released an album, and oh, that's the thing that's spatial. They are coming out with a metaverse, and I think it's gonna be in conjunction with spatial. But yeah, it's it's really cool.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, let me check it out. I mean, it's cool to see the airdrops and the token affiliated utilities and some of these drops. But yeah, I like to kind of dive into the pumponomics behind those kinds of schemes to make sure that it's a sustainable project. Because I'm kind of an NFT collector who likes to hold on to the art. So I have 3 NFT screens and I enjoy my art. I look at them. So it has to be something visually appealing. I think that the concept of a fish tank is something that is visually appealing because who doesn't like a fish tank in their house? I like interactive, I like 3D. So, yeah, I think that a big part of it is having movement and video as well.
Yeah, there's a lore that goes along with it. Like you get emails from your fiche, and but be advised that your fiche can and will die. But that doesn't mean that you still can't use them like in the mech suits. Doesn't mean it's just instead of swimming upright, they'll swim like upside down and they'll just be like floating. So that's pretty interesting. I think so. You mentioned you had a lot of different NFTs. I think there were 4% of Americans, or at least the ones that were polled, had mentioned that they have NFTs in 2022, which is a 100% increase from last year. So that brings me to a question because that statistic does come from Dan Schawbel. And Dan Schawbel put you in one of his books about Web 2.0, which I mentioned before. You made a very big name for yourself in. If you were to write a book about your experience in Web 3 so far, what would it be about?
Um, Gee, I mean, I would probably just write a book about onboarding people. So it'd probably be a how-to book because that's what I think people need the most help with. And sometimes it is nice to have a physical copy of a manual that can onboard you into Web3. So I think what's needed is onboarding into both Web 2 and Web 3, honestly, because it's more like Web 2.5, and you need to do both. You have to interact with both Web 2 platforms like exchanges and Web 3 platforms. So I would probably write a book to onboard more people. And I would specifically focus on content and NFTs. Rather than trading, I have done a lot with altcoins in the past as well as DeFi. But if I were to write a book, it would be about the future of social media, the future of content and entertainment in the world of crypto.
Okay. And so some stuff has changed, but other stuff not so much. What do you think is the one thing that has mostly stayed the same between Web 2.0 and Web 3 in this transition period?
Yeah, I mean, everything from monetary policy to deflationary, inflationary economies, tokenomics can be oftentimes modeled off of existing systems or modeled to fix existing systems and why they might be broken and need to see some sort of a change. So that's why backed currencies have proven over the years to be effective, as we've seen this move away from minerals and fiat currency, and now a move back towards backing through minerals, not just minerals, but also gold and silver, precious metals. That is something that a lot of cryptocurrencies are looking at moving towards as well. And also on the NFT side, there are similarities with Web 2 and Web 3. It's basically the same thing, except for instead of offering up your data in exchange for free use of these services, now you get to own your data, own your content, and you get to own your experience and your footprint. However, you have to pay for it.
So those are very good points. I can understand that. You had mentioned before that you had invested in some altcoins. Since the 2000s, since you became an adult, what do you think your best investment has been, and what was your mindset at the time when you were making it?
Yeah, so I bought Bitcoin in 2014, and my mindset was I'll just do what other people tell me to do. And I don't really know what this is, but tech people are saying you should do this. And I just said, okay, it's like money tech. Cool, let's try it out. I want to try this fintech product out. So for me, it was really just experimental. I really didn't think much of it. And now today it's Bitcoin. So yeah, I have a tweet. I should pull that tweet up. I have a tweet of myself buying my first Bitcoin in 2014, and I spelt Bitcoin with a capital C because I really didn't get it.
Make an NFT of that tweet.
Yeah, I should. I should
Yeah.
NFT the tweet. It's a pretty good one.
Oh man.
But
So
yeah, so that one, and that, the thing is that I lost that. Um, I lost that Bitcoin, so it
no.
didn't really. I still keep on looking. I wrote down the seed phrase on a piece of paper. I keep on telling my parents to like look in the house for it. All of my family members, old friends, like look for this. I can't find it, but it hasn't really emerged. So I don't know if it got thrown out, but yeah.
Oh man. Did you put it in a book or something? I used to hide money in books.
That's something I should look at. I should go look at all of my books. So
So since
yeah.
that first Bitcoin that you bought in 2014, were there any others that you bought in 15, 16 along those lines?
Yeah. I was very early into BNB,
Mm.
Binance Coin, and I bought that when it was $18. And then, of course, I've bought a lot of others like Chainlink, Link, and just sort of starting out early, I guess, for this world. Started in like 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So just kept staying with it, and through the bull runs or the bear markets, just kept on going, and yeah, accumulated a bit of a portfolio, but also have sold some along the way as well. So yeah, I guess the big win for me obviously was Kava. So started with Kava at 30 cents and took that to over $9, and yeah, I mean,
That's
just
made so yeah, you made quite a bit of money in it. Congrats. The
yeah, I think I made a lot of money for a lot of people.
yeah,
I made a lot of people a lot of money on that.
I wish I met you a decade ago. Uh,
Well, I was tweeting about it. I was like the spokesperson, evangelist, CMO.
I should have done that instead of joining the military. I'd be so much better off right
We
now.
won Binance's Project of the Year, the Launchpad Project of the Year.
Oh wow, what year was that?
That was 2020.
Okay, a few years ago. And have
Mhm.
you ever gotten into Omi?
I don't own any OMI. I should buy some. I've just been
You,
buying the NFTs.
I mean,
But
the
someone told me
NFTs
to
are
buy
great.
OMI very early, and I would have done quite well on it. So probably should
Yeah,
have.
I
I
mean,
think it might have been Dan Schwabel. He seems to be a trendsetter. He's just so generous, giving out information all the time, constantly been such an advocate in the industry. And I probably should have listened to him when he told me to buy OMI. I think
well,
also Jeremiah Oyang told me to buy OMI. Uh,
okay. So
yeah, I don't
he,
know. I think I just didn't get around to it. It wasn't that I didn't want to buy it. It was like, oh yeah, buy that one, like note to self, to-do list kind of thing, and it just didn't do it.
well, I have some great news. Since the bear market, it has between me, Dan, and Jeremiah, both of us bought it. I think average at like 0.004 or 0.0035, whatever. Now it's down to 0.00134. So it's probably one of the best times that you can get to buy it, especially now. I think out of the last 5 days, four of which we have outperformed both the S&P 500, the Dow, the Nasdaq, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Um, I am a little bit of a degen. I put about 98% of my net worth into it, so about $500,000. It is
Wait, why?
uh, partly because this is the only crypto that is associated with the top 10 grossing app, and the only crypto associated with Disney. I think that or I know that when you have the VV app, which had about, I think, $350 million poured into it, and the market cap of the coin is only 400 million, you probably have a really good opportunity to 10x your money probably by next year, if not like 6 months from now. And the utility, it'll be listed as utility token at first, and then a metaverse token right after. I'm advising all my whales, my clients, in order to do that as well. So
wow. Okay. I'm going to buy some. And, but for me, I think my best investment has been real estate, to be honest. So not in
okay. So
crypto.
is that what you're in Paris for right now? Looking for another place?
No, not buying into Paris. No, just here for work. And the there's a lot of movement in Paris right now with the Sandbox game and
Right.
Binance and Station F, and you've got even Web2 companies opening offices here, Snapchat and Google, and there's even a Ubisoft division. So there's a lot happening here with NFTs and Web3.
I'm a pretty decent fan of Sandbox as well. I just had Janine Orio on the podcast a few months ago. I think she was the biggest landowner in Sandbox. I don't know if she is anymore, but definitely a lot of them. So is that so? As far as metaverses go, for Sandbox, Decentraland, Earth 2, which one's kind of your favorite right now? Although you might not be able to say. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, having spent time on both Decentraland and Sandbox, I like Sandbox more just because of the community. I think Decentraland has a bit of a leg up on art as far as my aesthetics go, but the voxel art's really fun too, and I like that and appreciate voxel art. It's just so retro and so many throwbacks to Nintendo games, and I like it. So yeah, just super excited for some projects that I'm working on, some concerts.
You like Nintendo games?
Yeah, I do. Nice.
You got a bunch
I
of
love
Nintendo things.
Nintendo. I just grew up on Nintendo, so.
So I saw on your Facebook, I think it was like last month, you posted a video. You were on a podcast or a stream that involved gaming. How much of a nerd are you? How big of a do you let your freak flag fly and you bring up like Nintendo at parties? Where how do you see yourself as a gamer?
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Fortnite. I started a gaming guild called FTW Guild. You can follow us on Twitter. It's at FTW Guild. And it's just to highlight bringing more diversity into gaming and specifically focused on women, but it's not exclusive to women. It's whoever can join the guild, and it's a Champions Ascension guild. Champions Ascension is a Web3 powered game by Jam City, a pretty well-known studio based out of LA. And also I work full-time as co-founder of a startup company called Q Globe. And we are powering the metaverse and Web3 games through a funding DAO,
Nice.
investment club, and ways to launch your in-game assets as a game, as well as collaborate for events with celebrities and brands, and onboarding trademarks into this space as well.
I've I've noticed a couple of DAOs popping up specifically for NFT type of things. Have you noticed that as well?
Definitely, there's so much going on in the space for real. It's never been easier to fund your idea, but of course, it's decentralized. So there's a lot of proposals and voting, and it's not the fastest process. But if you are willing to get enough votes and build yourself up in the community, you can definitely get a lot done.
I was at NFT NYC a couple months ago, and there's many things to be read into that. Where a lot of people they weren't really focusing on the bear market, they didn't really care about the price of ETH. Everyone's really positive, which was great. But out of the dozens and dozens of projects that were there, I really only saw like three or four of them that like, hey, I actually like these. A lot of these projects I've seen that had raised maybe $1 or $2 million were really pushing hard, but they didn't have a working product yet. how do you go and differentiate which companies to invest in, which companies to pass on, and what is your mindset like?
Yeah, for me, it's really less about trading and investing because my big investment is my own startup and investing in myself and investing in our community. And yeah, we will sort of announce more on that and how the community can start to invest and participate. But I think that when you are an entrepreneur, it's really about taking a bet on your company and focusing on that as your big ROI.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. You travel a lot between the US and Europe. Which countries seem to be more open to the NFTs or digital collectibles as people are trying to steer it in that direction?
Yeah, so Portugal, in yes, yeah, so Portugal is
Love
making
Portugal.
a lot of moves in Lisbon, particularly. There are a ton of conferences popping up. For example, Web Summit this year has a huge blockchain track, and there's a ton of startups in the industry who are speaking at that. There are a ton of crypto conferences moving to Portugal, and there are so many tax incentives for crypto investors or crypto entrepreneurs to earn their citizenship should they follow the rigorous process. It's not easy. It takes a long time, but if you do it right, you can get your golden visa, so to speak, in Portugal and become a Portuguese citizen.
That's great. I do love Portugal. That is one of the most beautiful countries I've been to. Sunset's great. The food's great. I don't really have anyone else that I know that I think is stationed there anymore. So I don't know if I have any reason to visit right now, outside of maybe just for a weekend. Uh, so you are in Paris, just kind of there for work. You live in California, though, right?
No, I live in Paris.
Oh, you do live in Paris.
I grew up in California.
Okay.
I've been very much deep in Silicon Valley. That's where my family is. My roots are there. My network is there, but I live in Paris.
Is that where you kind of want to stay for, I guess not forever, but for a long time? Do you see yourself going anywhere else?
Yes, definitely on the way to Singapore. So
Okay.
moving to Singapore.
Specifically, why there?
There's also a lot of crypto events happening in Singapore. Singapore is also a huge hub, similar to Lisbon, but Singapore has been more established in crypto for a longer period of time. And also, as you know, or maybe you don't know, but the two largest markets right now for NFT purchasing is in Hong Kong and Singapore, and it's easier to be on their time zones. I find myself up late at night. It's easier in Paris than in on the East Coast in Miami, or even in California, which is slightly better for Asia in California because you still have mornings and evenings on the same time zone. But I think that Singapore is a great location for crypto startups to consider. Maybe not when they're very early starting up because it is expensive, but I think once you've made some progress and hit those benchmarks, Singapore is a super attractive location for crypto startups such as QGlobe. So just gonna open the office in Paris, and next up is to open an office in Singapore for the business. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You had mentioned some, I think we were talking about DAOs. It kind of reminded me, I think the Museum of Modern Art was they're selling, I think, $70 million worth of artwork in order to get into NFTs. I have seen a couple of different places, I think like Maker's Place, a bunch of places in New York, a bunch of them are Sings, buddies and friends. How soon do you think before we get like giant ETFs, we get giant hedge funds coming in and buying a bunch of NFTs, or have you seen them start that already?
So the ETFs we're going to see a big move in December, but that will be so the ETFs are coming into traditional crypto in December. So you'll see some movement in Bitcoin, in Ethereum. So yeah, I mean, now's a good time for ETH, for OMI, for altcoins. It's a good time to buy. Everything's on sale. Like, let's see, just look at the market real quick. Yeah, I mean, ETH is a good price, only 1,400. So it's a good time to buy. But yeah, Sol is 32. Yeah, so ETFs are coming in December, and it's only a matter of time from there where they'll be able to access NFTs, but that's probably farther out than the larger coins or the altcoins.
What do you think in December, or what do you know in December?
I think BlackRock announced that, and
Oh,
and
okay,
some,
that's what.
and some large ETFs have
Did they
announced it
say
already.
how much of their, because they're like a $10 trillion bankroll? Did they say how much their, like a 0.01% of their funds are going in?
I'd have to look it up, but yeah, no, I mean, we're going to be seeing $1 trillion movements from ETFs, and that's going to impact the market in a positive way. So I'm hoping that we see a bull run. We'll see what market conditions are at that time, but you never know. People sometimes tend to take a lot of risk when they're seeing their fiat currencies becoming less stable, such as inflation and other geopolitical implications that are moving across the globe. Who knows what the future will hold and how many people will actually want to move into these high risk assets. But as their more stable assets become to be less stable, the appetite becomes stronger to test the waters.
You are preaching to the choir with that. I hate how the Federal Reserve keeps on printing money out of nothing and then charging interest on it, devaluing our stuff. That's also why I kind of have not as much issue going all in into something else that is not dollars, such as OMI.
Yeah.
I think there's already a think it was a hedge fund or an ETF fund in Singapore that they do everyone's like retirement accounts. And I think Singapore, the Supreme Court, like a few months back, it was like right after VCon, they had gone and said that, okay, NFTs are now an asset. So they've been buying them since then. So I'm pretty happy about that. So you said that about $1 trillion might go into this. Reminded me of a statistic in, I don't know how many
We'll
trillions,
have
but
access to it. I can't say we'll go into it. That's up to the
there, yeah,
individual. But yeah, we'll have access to it. So we're talking trillion plus dollars exposed to crypto opportunities.
fair point. I think millennials are set to inherit, I don't know how many trillions over the next 10 years as the rest of the last generation kind of kicks it and invests into us. We are pretty insulated with everyone around us. Our work is about Web3, NFTs, metaverses, but it is still right now only 4% of people. Over the next couple of years, as millennials, as our generation starts to inherit that, where do you see a lot of those funds going? How much percentage do you think would go to NFTs? Do you think we continue to grow 100% a year? I know there's a ton of questions. Sorry.
Well, that's a great question. I have no idea, but millennials seem to try new things. They like to change it up. So sure, why not? I mean, NFTs are fun, and who doesn't love art?
Art is one of my favorite things to interpret, to look at. We have He Just Spider says, the post got me thinking we need an NFT to honor Hispanic Heritage Month, like Speedy Gonzalez from Looney Tunes. I think that would be great. But I remember when Speedy Gonzalez, I think they tried to cancel him because he was like racist. What is your interpretation of things like that? Do you think things like that are okay? Because, you as I feel like a Hispanic person would be able to answer that better than most.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that diversity and inclusion is about including people's voices and perspectives, and that's how we engage in thoughtful debate, and that's how we grow and learn. And so cancel culture is about canceling voices and prohibiting free speech and canceling out conversations. So I actually see cancel culture as the complete opposite of inclusion.
Agreed. So I forget who said it. that said, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. When I'm talking about art, what is a piece that has made you feel uncomfortable, but in the best way?
Does it have to be an NFT or?
It could be anything. It could be a piece of literature. It could be I mean, art. I think Ron Swanson says it's art. Anything can be anything. So whatever makes you feel that.
Hmm. Okay, let me be very thoughtful about this. I guess. Um, I guess. Well, so Andy Warhol is a controversial artist in his depiction of Mao. But the thing is, I think that people don't understand about all of his Mao series is that it's a parody. So he's actually making fun of Mao. Yeah, when you see Mao, you think of somebody who really wanted to create a legacy, and Andy Warhol gave him that legacy. Though it was a parody, I don't think he cared as much if what people said, as long as he made that mark and was able to take China into this next industrial revolution. And even if it was at the expense of 60 million plus lives, it was in his mind about building the future of China and making China the world's superpower. And so, was he successful in that? For sure. Was it ethical or okay? Absolutely not in the way that he did it. But I think he got what he wanted, and I think Andy Warhol helped him do that.
So I tend to look, or it's glass half full and silver linings. I try to be a bit more positive, but there are a couple things in the world that do, I think, get me worried, or at least had me worried, like the war with Ukraine and Russia. You have, China kind of invading the South China Sea, for Taiwan. And you mentioned China becoming a superpower. What is one of your biggest fears, whether it be globally or internally?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I used to be afraid of death, but now I embrace death. So I don't know. Sometimes I get a fear of heights, but I don't really struggle with that too much. So I tend to like to live life with no fear and see, the opposite of fear being love, and life is an opportunity to lean into love. So no fear, as they say.
So when you say you embrace death, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So I just believe in God. I believe in Jesus, and I am a Catholic, and I practice the traditional Latin Mass, and it's been something that's absolutely fantastic. I'm a convert, and I think that that's just helps me a lot to overcome all fears in life and really embrace hardships as learning opportunities to grow and become a better person and to love my neighbor, and just all this positivity that has come about from this. So it's been literally the best decision I ever made. And that's why I'm no longer afraid of death, because I see it as kind of life here on earth is like going to college. It just prepares you for the afterlife.
It definitely makes it easier to accept when you know you're going to a better place, when you know you can see loved ones again. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And you said the opposite of fear is love. You're in Paris right now, which is known as the city of love. Over the years, has love helped or hurt your endeavors?
So even in business or personal, it's life is all about how much can you love. So every opportunity that you have to share that love, it can be from a random stranger on the street. It can be almsgiving to a homeless person. Anyway, sharing a warm meal with a neighbor. It can be just a smile. It can be a positive statement, or telling somebody that you're there for them if they're down. That kind of community and support is so inherent to our souls and our success as humans, as you're on your deathbed, you're not going to say, oh, I wish I made more money. You're going to say, I wish I loved this person more. I wish I forgave this person more. And so any opportunity that we have to do that in our friendships or with anyone we come into contact in life, Paris is a city of love. I mean, it's a very romantic city for sure. But I've noticed a lot of people are super friendly also in areas of the world like Malaysia and Thailand, and super friendly people also in Mexico. And I love traveling and meeting strangers and just like sharing life stories or meeting new people and sharing the love, spreading the love.
What is love to you? Your interpretation and definition of it.
Yeah, so for me, God is love.
And so a lot of people go and they kind of put together love and beauty and they make them synonyms, which I guess they are. How often, if ever, do you make decisions based on someone's or something's beauty? Like moving to Paris is because the city is so beautiful and breathtaking, or is that more of a kind of a financial move?
Oh yeah, so it's all about the business being in Paris right now. But as far as just evaluating projects to onboard them into the Globe Accelerator, a lot of it is statistic and analytics based, but pretty much every single day I'm making both quantitative and qualitative decisions. And so qualifying the metaverse and these games as they enter so that they can really maximize the highest quality games. It's about qualifying them on both quantitative and quality of the art. And so, when you look at the art, it is subjective. However, I think there is some level of artwork in itself that you can qualify, and you can look at the quality and say, who is this artist and what's their background? And I think that that's something that I'm doing pretty much every day. It's not just about looking at the benchmarks. Their team is obviously very important. Is their team doxed is another question about the community as well. How well have they been able to build a Web3 audience and their fans? But as far as collections and art-oriented collections, art is a huge part of that decision. And so it is something that I'm doing every day. Yes.
Very nice. Shout out to Willow Kid for the super chat, saying awesome guest to have
Yay,
on,
Willow
Randy.
Kid.
Good luck with everything. Sit here. Great to sit here and hear you speak again. I guess Willow Kid, you know Willow Kid?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. So I guess he really enjoys hearing you speak, especially with the legend, Randy. Thank you for that. So there is a speaking fee that a lot of people in our industry tend to kind of do, and there are some times where we go and we kind of waive that. What type of projects do you choose to waive your speaking fee for? Is there, if any?
Right. Like joining a Twitter space. I don't charge for Twitter spaces. I mean, some projects have reached out to me and asked me if they could pay me to promote their project or pay me to join their Twitter space. And as co-founder and COO of QGlobe, a accelerator that's constantly qualifying projects to onboard them for revenue opportunities, I think it would be unethical to accept money from any project at all, even if they never joined the QGlobe community, DAO, or platform, being in the space of bringing new revenues to projects and onboarding metaverse and games to massive retail distribution. It would be severely unethical for me to participate in any of these kind of shiller opportunities. But yes,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yes, I do have a following of Web3 community, and I have a lot of friends in the space, but I would never take money to speak to those people and tell them what I'm buying or what I'm interested in. So I just get hit up by that a lot and wish we could use those opportunities speaking to each other to talk about how we can actually create value through collaboration and creation rather than shilling. But I do understand that, of course, getting the word out there is a super important part of every project. But I think that people need to authentically build communities. So all of the panels that I participate in and every single panel that I organize a lot of AMAs. And every single one, I require that none of the speakers can ask for a fee. And if they do, it's kind of like, I think you're missing the point. And, if you're at the level that you're, turning those opportunities down, then like more power to you. Congratulations on your success, but also totally respect people who need the money and who get paid for their hours, and that's what they require. However, I simply can't work with those people because I don't think that it's fair to the wider community, and I don't want to spread information like wag me and buy now because it's not always true. And we need to hear real authenticity in the space. And we need to also share about our losses. I think too many people talk about their wins and they don't talk about when they failed and what they learned about that, because it's not just buying in, it's about when you sell.
Yes, my audience is very familiar with my, on paper, $900,000 loss, where I bought Omi in at this price, it went up here, and now it's way here. But I haven't sold. Like I said, I believe in the project 100%. Tell us a little bit more about Q Globe, and you said it was a startup, right?
Yeah. So Q Globe is a startup company. It's a little bit over a year old. So basically a year old from, if you want to be technical, from when we incorporated the documents. But as far as like when we actually got going, it's a year-old project, and it is a Web3 game, metaverse, and entertainment. Entertainment being intellectual property, celebrities, and trademarks on the brand side of like fashion and other kinds of entertainment properties and sports, trademarking, as well as automotive, more of that high-end luxury item experience that people love to have in the metaverse, like when Lambo, cultural experiences like you saw. You can buy a pink Bentley in Paris Hilton's Paris World, for example. And Q Globe is the game producer distributor to game retailers. So it's multi-chain and multi-platform. So it's omni in the sense that it's omni-channel. So you can distribute to multiple retailers at the same time. Retailers being Sexes, Dexes, so like Bybit, Binance, Magic Eden, OpenSea. These are all retailers. And we assist the token gamified smart contracts, liquidity, and community. And so through these sort of packages, these public sales within the GameFi and metaverse community, they receive extra utility, product placement from high-end curated brands, content from celebrities, and that initial community also equips games with a suite of Web3 software as a service products like white label secondary marketplaces and decentralized applications for additional NFT utility.
So if you were to go and take on a client and help and attempt to help them out, whether it be like a cap raise or doing what you guys specialize in, and you see a really good opportunity, would you guys make the offer to acquire another company?
Yeah, I think that, acquiring companies is how you grow faster in the industry. So that's certainly a conversation we've had with some other projects in the space. And I think that we're going to see a lot more consolidation as we move forward in a bear market. And so, if you want to really survive, you're having a hard time, sometimes just merging with another project does actually end up making your investors the happiest in the end and does ultimately move the cause forward. I know a merger acquisition, a bear market can sometimes be painful for startups, but I think what we're going to see in the crypto industry is a lot of consolidation in the very near term.
Yes, agreed. I think most projects won't survive this bear market, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity. Even some that are really decent that just started out, had really bad luck, be able to buy them for like pennies on the dollar. So
Yeah.
with that, I say that you've been here for almost an hour. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the peeps that are watching right now, or the peeps that will be watching in the future once this posts?
Yeah, sure. If you love NFTs and you love gaming, I invite you to join the guild. There is a link tree on the Twitter page, FTW Guild. So, like for the win, FT dubs. And you can fill it out to join the guild. And I think it's going to be just a huge opportunity and a really fun community to bring more inclusion into the Web3 gaming space.
100%. Thank you so much for coming. I'll talk to you off camera for a little bit after I end the broadcast. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for watching the super chats. I love you all. Goodbye, guys.
Thanks.
Say goodbye today.